Kal Kadosh. Tzaoraim Tovim, good afternoon. Daf Yomi Masechet Avodah Zarah, Daf 54. Nun Daled Amud Aleph 54a1. We says the Gemara. Amar Chizkiah comes and he says the following. We're trying to look for a source, right, that a Mizbeach, which is made out of a lot of stones, right, is called a Mizbeach. Okay, and then it's going to be a Mizbeach until you destroy the majority of it. So Amar Chizkiah says, Micah, what's the pasuk? Besumo kol avnei Mizbeach kavnei gir menupatzot lo yakumu asherim v'chamanim. So he comes and he says like this. We're talking about now that it shouldn't be the ashirot, which are going to be like avodat hashemesh. So iika kavne gir menupatzot. If they're going to be like avne mizbeach, like avne gir, which are menupatzot, so lo yikumun asherim v'chamanim. So then again, you're not going to bring korbanot for the ashirot and the tzalmei hashemesh, because it's going to be mitpatel. Bimlav, and if not, because it's going to be annulled. And if not, so then yakumu. So they're still going to come and bring the korbanot, but it's not going to be batel. So Tana, we learned in a Braita, ne'evad, when you have an animal which was served as an avodah zarah, shelo asur, if the animal belongs to him, so he's not allowed to bring it as a korban. Shel chavero, but if it belongs to his friend, you're allowed to bring it as a korban. Because remember, you're not allowed to prohibit your friend's animal onto him. So I can go to your animal, start serving it like an avodah zarah, and all of a sudden I say, slicha, now you can't bring it as a korban. Doesn't exist. Well, meaning we have a contradiction. What does it mean that it's going to be served? Doesn't matter whether they used it. What's the case of honest? Are we not talking about that he did honest on the animal of his friend, and then he actually bowed down to it? So Amar Rabbi Mechama says, for example, the goy came and forced him to serve his own animal, to bow down to his own animal. So Matkif Rabbi Zera asks, the Torah permits you then. If somebody comes and against your will forces you to do something, you didn't want to do it, you were forced. So what do you want? So he said, you don't do anything to the girl that was violated. If a girl was, you don't do anything to her. But rather Rava says, Hakol hayu bichlal. Everybody that does avodah zarah is part of the avirah. Avlot tishtachave lahem v'lo ta'avdem. Ushepirei lecha k'tuv. So when the pasuk tells you v'chai bahem v'lo sheyamud bahem, yatsa ones. It already excludes the ones. The hadar kadar v'lachmana. But then the Torah says v'lo techalul shem kodeshi. What does that mean? Ta'afilu be'ones it doesn't help. Hakei. So what's the case? Ha betzina v'faresia. There's a difference between betzina and faresia. If it's going to be betzina, right? So therefore, he doesn't have to, even on avodah zarah, he doesn't have to give up his life. But if it's going to be faresia, you have to give up your life for avodah zarah. So amru le Rabbanan le Rava, Tanya de Misayen lecha b'misuyot she'ovdei kochavim bishat gezerah, af al pi she'gezerah batla, otam b'siyon lo batlu. They're not batel. So it comes out that avodah zarah, even mefarhesia be'ones, is called avodah zarah, and it's a sur. Samar lehu, he says, if it was only that case, it's not a proof. Eimar, I would say Yisrael mumar hava ufalach leberatzon. I would say that it's a Jew that he's a mumar. Sometimes you have a Jew that he's a mumar. A mumar is a Jew that's not religious, and he's completely anti. So what happens? He's going to do the avodah zarah willingly. Well, nobody forced him. He's doing it willingly. Ravashi comes and he says, Lo teima, don't say this. Elavada Yisrael mumar hava. For sure, it's a Yisrael mumar, and he did it willingly. So Chizkiah come and he said, so for example, he went and he did nisuch, right, of the avodah kochavim wine, right? That means he basically served wine for the avodah zarah. So matkif la Rava barava hayna vadu. That means they served it. He said they never made it into avodah zarah. What they just did was they made it like a mizbeach. Says, you did an action, which is like an action of doing avodah zarah. Just like Ula came in the name of Yochanan, he said, right? That means even though you're going to bow down to another animal, it's not going to prohibit it. But if you did an action, you did. Go and say to Ula, he already translated in Bavel. If it's lying down in front of avodah zarah, the second you did shechita asra, you made it prohibited. How do you know that it's prohibited? If you're going to tell me from the Kohanim that they're not allowed to come in to do the service in the Bet HaMikdash, right? Or even if they did it be honest, maybe it's different Kohanim. Meaning, if you have a Kohen that he served Avodah Zarah, even if he was forced, he cannot serve in the Bet HaMikdash. But rather, they learn from the Mizbeach. So he says, maybe it's like Rav Papa. It's not a proof. Why? Because maybe it's like that which we learned from Rav Papa. Rav Papa says that when the Yevanim came into the Hechal, all the kelim went out to Chulin and they couldn't use it anymore. Why? Because it's a disgrace to use it for Hashem. So says Nun Daled Amubet 54b, Ve'ela mi kelim. But rather they learn it from the kelim. ואת כל הכלים אשר הזניח המלך אחז במלכותו במעלו הכינו והקדשנו ועמל מור הכנו is that they put it in גניזה. הקדשנו, that they had to make other ones. האין אדם עושה דבר, how could it be? How did they prohibit something which is not theirs? If it's not theirs, how do they prohibit it? אלא כיוון דעבד בהו מעשה יצרו לו. Once they did an action, it's prohibited. הכנמי so to here, כיוון שעשה במעשה, it's going to be אסורה. So קיאת רב דימי, when Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Af al pi she'amru, even though they saidAmishtachave lekarka olam lo asra, that if they're going to bow down to karka olam to serve it, it's not going to be prohibited. Chafar ba'borot shechilu manot asra. Meaning like this: imagine somebody goes, yeah, he's not 100% there, and he bows down to the floor. Does he prohibit the ground? No. But what happens if he comes and he digs aborot shechilu manot? There, yes, he prohibits it. So Kiyata Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, when Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda came, he said, name Yochanan, Af al pi shamru, even though they said Mishtachave lebalei chayim lo asran, asa'an chalifin leavodah kochavim asran. If he made them the chalifin, which means that they made the substitute of Avodah Zarah, it is asur. So Kiyata Rabbi Amar Pligiba, it's actually a machloket between Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Yosef and Rabbanan. Char Amar, one of them said chalifin is asurin, chalife chalifin, right, is going to be mutarin. The Chadamar, afilu chalife chalifin is also going to be asurin. Meaning even the substitute of a substitute. He says, my ta'ama, what's the reasoning? The Mar that he says, chalife chalifin is asurin. Amakra, the Pasuk says, vayita herem kamohu, kol she'ata mehayeh mimenu, right? Kamohu. Ve'idach amakra, hu velo chalife chalifin. Yeah? So he says, ve'idach, and the other Tana holds, that's coming to exclude perot orla and kilei kerem. That if you sold them, v'kidesh min mehen, and then you actually went and you actually got married a woman with the money, mekudeshet, it's considered a good marriage. It means even though you're using money of these things that you just sold. Ve'idach, another shita, orla v'kilei kerem, lo tzricha miuta, you don't need a mute. Because Avodah Zarah and Shemitah or two psukim come and teach you the same thing. And anytime that you have two psukim come and teach you the same thing, so then you can't learn from something else, basically. Emelamdim, they don't learn on something else. Avodah kochavim is what we just mentioned. Hadamran, right? Shavi'it is because it says in the pasuk, Ki yoveli kodesh tiye lachem, kodesh tofetz dama ve'asur av shavi'it tofetz damea ve'asura. He says, just like kodesh is going to be, right? Tofetz dama is going to grab onto the money and then it's going to be asur. So to shemitah is going to be tofetz damea and it's going to be asura. So he says, Ima kodesh tofes dama v'yotze lechulin. So to shemitah is going to be tofes dama v'yotze lechulin. Tamulomar comes teach you tiyeh bavayata tiyeh. That it's going to be bavayata the way that it is. Haketzad. Lakach peperot shevit basar elu va'elu mitba'arim leshvit. When you are going to take perot shevit with meat, that means you're going to purchase it with meat, right? It's going to be considered a dineh biur, which means kedushat shevit is chal on that as well. Velakach basar v'dagim. You went and you purchase basar dagim. Yatsa basar nichnatz dagim. So now the meat is now not anymore a problem. Now the dagim is the kadosh. You went the dagim yain. So now the dagim is not anymore kadosh. It's the yain. Yain shemen. It's the yain not now the shemen. Haketzad. Acharon nitpas b'shvit. The last thing is what's taking on the shvit. Upri atzmo asur, and then it's going to be asur. Ve'idach, but the other one says it's shnei ketuvim v'nikah echad. Ve'itzichul mitin. You still need come to teach you that it's coming to exclude it of tfisat damim. Okay, says a Mishnah. Mishnah, something new. Shalu et zekenim beromi. So the elders, the philosophers, the goyim, they asked the chochmei Yisrael in Romi. Im en retzono ba'avodah kochavim lamen mevatla. Says if Hashem doesn't want avodah zarah, why doesn't he mevatel the avodah zarah? Amrula, and they told them ilu ledavar she'en tzorech la'olam bo hayu ovdin hayam mevatlo. He says they need it. So for why would he be mevatel? Harei en ovdin lechama levana. He says what? They also serve the sun, the moon, the stars, the constellations. What, he's going to destroy everything because of the shotim? Meaning you're going to have these people that are going to serve everything. You're going to HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to destroy the sun. Why? People serve the sun. Right? Nowadays, you hardly hear these things. But in the olden days, they used to serve all these things. It was for them, the sun was like, wow, the sun comes strong, the power, the heat. He's the strong one. What, you're going to get rid of the sun because of some shoteh that wants to come and, a fool that wants to come and start bowing down to the sun? Amrulahen. So they told him, fine. So get rid of anything which doesn't have any necessity, and then leave everything else.
Way to the moon, they stop jumping and
yeah. You're right. Yeah. So he says, Amru lahen, afanu machzikin yedei ovdeim v'shelelu. Yeah. Huh? So he says, afanu machzikin yedei ovdeim v'shelelu. We're also going to be machzikut them. Shomrim tadshe shehen elahot shehen she'arei hen lo batlu. Meaning like this. If right now, let's say you have a rock, and he didn't need the rock, right? So if he's going to destroy the rock, but not the sun, so then they're going to say, the ones that serve the sun are going to say that their gods destroyed the rock. So because of that, we just leave everything the way that it is. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Shalu Folisifin, Filosofin et the philosophers, they asked the elders, Biromi and Romi, if they do not want Avodah Zarah, why doesn't he annul them? What? They come, they serve the Chama, Levana, Kochavim, Azalot. Yabeda olam min shotim, our Mishnah. El olam k'minago noheg v'shotim shekikilu atidim nitenet din. Says what? You leave the world like normal, and then these shotim, they're going to get punished. Davar acher, another explanation. Imagine somebody comes and he steals wheat. He plants it in the ground. Dinu shelo titzma. Why? It's not going to grow? For sure it's going to grow. Olam kiminago noheg. You leave the world growing like normal, and the shotim shekilkilu, they're going to get the din. Another explanation. If somebody comes and he violates another woman, a married woman, what, she won't get pregnant? Leave the world the way it is. But rather they're going to come and they're going to do that. Which means at the end of the day, right, everything goes normal. And that's what the Shakish says. Not only are they going to come and make my chotam hefker, but they actually make me sign against my will, which means that they made everything hefker, that I have to actually create a child against my will, kiinu. Meaning if somebody comes and he has an affair, that child becomes what? Mamzer. They're kiinu forcing me to make that. Meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I don't want to do it kiinu, but they're forcing me to do it. So שאל פילוסופוס אחד רבי גמליאל, כתוב בתורתכם, it's written in your Torah, כי השם אלוקיך אש אוכלה הוא. הקדוש ברוך הוא זה אש אוכלה אלקנה. He's vengeance. מפני מה מתקנא בעובדיה? Why is he going to take vengeance? ומתקנא בה, why doesn't he take vengeance against the Avodah Zarah itself? אמר לו, so he tells him, משל לך משל, מה הדבר דומה, what's it compared to? למלך בשר ודם שאין לו בן יחיד. Imagine you had a king that he only has one boy, a prince. Now the Ben, he had a dog. Now he calls the dog in the name of his father. Yeah? You understood or not? Le chien, le nom de son père. Yeah? Now when he comes and he swears, Omer bechaye kelev abba. He comes in the life of the dog, the father. He says, when the king hears this, who's he going to get upset? On the Ben or on the Kelev? He's going to get upset at the dog or he's going to get upset at the son? So obviously he's going to get upset at the son. Well, what does the dog know? The dog doesn't know anything better. Amarlo, so he tells him, Kelev ata koreota? This is what you're calling the Avodah Zarah Kelev? It's got something there. Amarlo, maraita, what did you see that it has mamashut? Amarlo, pamachat nafla deleka be'erenu, v'nisafak kol ha'ikula, ve'ota ba'ita lo nisaf. He says, the entire city was burnt except for the Avodah Zarah. Amarlo, he told him, right? Imagine you have a king that there was one country that went against him. So when he does war, who does he do war? Against the ones that are alive or the ones that are dead? So he says, obviously, against the ones that are alive. So אמר לו, כלב אתה קורא אותה, you're calling it a מת אתה קורא אותה, you're calling it dead. אם כן, so just get rid of it. אמר לו, אילו לדבר שאין העולם צריך לו היו לו עובדין, you're right. If the world would not need anything, he would annul the entire thing. But they come and they serve the sun, the moon, the stars, the constellations, afikim ulgayayot, right? I don't know how you say that in English. How do you say the last thing? Afikim ulgayayot? How do you say the well springs and valleys? You're going to destroy the entire world because of the shotim. And that's exactly what it says. Asof, asef, kol me'al penei adama. What? He's going to take everything destroyed from the world. Nu Hashem. Asaf adamu. He's going to destroy adamu bema. Asef of Shemayim Gayam. What? He's going to get rid of the birds and the fish and everything. Because of the Reshaim. He's going to destroy the entire world. He says they even serve human beings. What? I'm going to kill all human beings. So obviously not. Yeah. So because of that, obviously he's not going to do such a thing.